Welcome! Join us as we improve your English through the power of storytelling. Each story is carefully crafted to help you learn new words and enjoy the journey of language learning. Today's story is called The Bamboo and the Oak. First, enjoy the complete story without interruption. Then, stay until the end, where we will review important vocabulary words from the story together. You will learn the pronunciation, meaning, and how to use each word in sentences. Now, sit back, relax, and let's begin the story. The Bamboo and the Oak. In a peaceful forest, two very different trees grew side by side. One was a mighty oak tree, tall and strong, with thick branches and a massive trunk. The other was a slender bamboo, graceful and flexible, swaying gently in the breeze. The oak tree was proud of its strength. Its roots went deep into the earth. Its trunk was so thick that 3 people could not wrap their arms around it. Its branches spread wide, providing shade for all the creatures of the forest. Birds built their nests in its strong limbs. Squirrels ran up and down its sturdy bark. The oak had stood in that spot for over 100 years, surviving countless seasons. The bamboo was different. It was thin and delicate, bending with every wind. Its trunk was hollow and light. Its leaves rustled with the slightest movement of air. Where the oak stood firm and unmoving, the bamboo danced and swayed. One day, the oak looked down at the bamboo with contempt. "You are so weak and fragile," the oak said in a deep, rumbling voice. "Look at how you bend with every little breeze. You have no strength, no dignity. You sway back and forth like you have no backbone at all." The bamboo smiled gently. "I bend because I am flexible, not because I am weak," it replied softly. The oak laughed, a sound like thunder. "Flexible? That is just another word for weak. I stand strong and tall. No wind can move me. No storm can bend me. That is true strength. You should be ashamed of how easily you give in to every force that pushes against you. Perhaps we have different ideas about what strength means," the bamboo said peacefully. "I bend so that I do not break. Is that not also a kind of wisdom?" "Nonsense," declared the oak. "True strength means standing firm no matter what. I have stood here for a century, unmoved and unbending. That is power. That is resilience. You would do well to learn from me instead of dancing around like a fool in the wind." The bamboo said nothing more. It continued to sway gently in the breeze, its leaves whispering softly to each other. Days passed peacefully. The sun shone warm on both trees. Rain fell gently on their leaves. The forest was calm and beautiful. The oak continued to stand proud and strong, casting its shadow over the smaller bamboo. The bamboo continued to bend and sway, never arguing with the oak's harsh words. But then, one day, dark clouds gathered on the horizon. The sky turned an ominous gray. The air became heavy and still. The animals of the forest sensed danger and hurried to find shelter. Birds flew to their nests. Rabbits ran to their burrows. Even the insects went quiet. A terrible storm was coming. The first winds arrived like a warning. They rustled through the forest, making the trees groan and creak. The bamboo bent low, almost touching the ground, then sprang back up as the gust passed. The oak barely moved, its massive trunk standing firm against the wind. "See?" the oak shouted over the growing wind. "I remain strong while you bow down like a coward. This is what I have been trying to teach you." The bamboo did not reply. It was too busy bending and swaying, letting the wind flow around it like water flowing around a stone in a stream. Then the real storm arrived. The wind came with tremendous force, howling through the forest like a living creature. Rain poured down in sheets, so thick that the trees could barely see each other. Lightning flashed across the sky, followed by deafening crashes of thunder. The earth shook. Branches snapped and flew through the air. Smaller trees were uprooted and tossed aside like toys. The oak stood firm, just as it had promised. It refused to bend. It refused to yield. Its deep roots gripped the earth. Its thick trunk resisted the wind. "I will not break," the oak shouted into the storm. "I am too strong." The bamboo bent so low that its top nearly touched its roots. It curved and swayed, bowed and flexed, moving with the wind instead of fighting against it. When a gust came from the east, it bent to the west. When the wind shifted to the north, it curved to the south. It danced with the storm, never resisting, always adapting. The wind grew stronger and stronger. It pushed against the oak with incredible violence. The oak fought back, standing rigid and unbending. Its branches groaned under the pressure. Its trunk creaked and complained. But still, it refused to bend. "I will not yield," the oak roared. "I am the strongest tree in this forest." And that was when the sound came. A terrible cracking noise, like the breaking of bones. The oak's rigid trunk, which had refused to bend even slightly, could not withstand the relentless force of the wind. A huge split appeared down its middle. The oak tried to hold itself together, but it was too late. With a final tremendous crack, the mighty oak tree broke. Its massive trunk split in two. Its strong branches crashed to the ground. The tree that had stood for over 100 years, the tree that had been too proud to bend, fell with a thunderous crash that shook the entire forest. The bamboo, still bending and swaying in the violent wind, survived the storm without a single broken stem. When morning came, the storm had passed. The sun rose on a changed forest. The mighty oak lay shattered on the ground, its proud strength destroyed. Its massive trunk was split and broken. Its wide branches were scattered everywhere, but the bamboo stood tall and whole. As the gentle morning breeze arrived, the bamboo straightened itself and swayed peacefully, just as it always had. Not a single stem was damaged. Not a single leaf was torn. The other trees of the forest learned an important lesson that day. They saw that the bamboo's flexibility was not weakness, but wisdom. They understood that sometimes the ability to bend is stronger than the ability to resist. They realized that true strength is not about being rigid and unbending, but about being able to adapt to challenges and survive. The bamboo had tried to share this wisdom with the oak, but the oak had been too proud to listen. The oak had believed that strength meant never yielding, never bending, never adapting. And that belief had led to its destruction. Sometimes, the things we think make us strong are actually our greatest weaknesses. Sometimes the things we think are weak are actually our greatest strengths. The oak was strong, but it was also rigid. The bamboo appeared weak, but it was resilient and wise. In life, we all face storms. Some people try to stand rigid against every challenge, refusing to bend or change. They believe this makes them strong. But like the oak, they often break when the pressure becomes too great. Other people learn to be like the bamboo. They adapt to challenges. They bend when they need to bend. They flow with difficulties instead of fighting rigidly against them. They understand that survival and success sometimes require flexibility, not just strength. The bamboo never forgot the oak. Sometimes, on quiet nights, it would think about its old neighbor and feel sadness for the pride that led to destruction. But it also felt grateful for the lesson the oak had taught, even if the oak had not intended to teach it. True strength, the bamboo understood, is knowing when to stand firm and when to bend. It is having the wisdom to adapt to circumstances while staying rooted in your values. It is being flexible enough to survive life's storms without losing who you are. And so the bamboo continued to grow, swaying gently in the breeze, bending with the wind, and standing tall through every season. It survived many more storms over the years, each time bending low and springing back, flexible and strong, wise and humble, teaching by example the power of adaptability. This is the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed this powerful tale about flexibility, adaptation, and understanding that true strength comes in many forms. Now let's review the important vocabulary words we heard in this story. Listen carefully to the spelling, meaning, and how to use each word. Vocabulary review. Number 1. Contempt. Let me spell it. C-O-N-T-E-M-P-T. Contempt. Contempt means a feeling that someone or something is worthless or deserves no respect. When you feel contempt for something, you think it is beneath you and not worthy of your attention or respect. In the story, the oak looked at the bamboo with contempt. The oak thought the bamboo was weak and worthless because it bent in the wind. Here's another example. She treated his suggestion with contempt, refusing to even consider it. One more example. The dictator showed contempt for the rights of his people. Number 2. Resilience. Let me spell it. R-E-S-I-L-I-E-N-C-E. Resilience. Resilience means the ability to recover quickly from difficulties or adapt well to challenges. When something has resilience, it can bounce back from problems and continue functioning despite hardships. The oak believed its resilience came from standing firm and unbending. But the bamboo showed true resilience by adapting and surviving the storm. Here is another example. The community showed remarkable resilience after the natural disaster. One more example. Children often have great resilience and recover quickly from disappointments. Number 3. Ominous. Let me spell it. O-M-I-N-O-U-S. Ominous. Ominous means giving the impression that something bad or unpleasant is going to happen. When something feels ominous, it creates a sense of worry or threat about the future. The sky turned an ominous gray before the terrible storm arrived. The dark clouds warned that danger was coming. Here is another example. There was an ominous silence before the announcement of bad news. One more example. The ominous sound of thunder warned us to seek shelter immediately. Number 4. Relentless. Let me spell it. R-E-L-E-N-T-L-E-S-S. Relentless. Relentless means continuing in a determined way without stopping or becoming weaker. When something is relentless, it keeps going with constant intensity and does not give up or slow down. The oak could not withstand the relentless force of the wind. The wind kept pushing and pushing without stopping, without mercy. Here is another example. The detective's relentless investigation finally uncovered the truth. One more example. The rain was relentless, pouring down for 3 days without stopping. Number 5. Rigid. Let me spell it. R-I-G-I-D. Rigid. Rigid means stiff and difficult to bend or change. When something is rigid, it cannot flex or adapt easily. This can describe physical objects or attitudes and behaviors. The oak's rigid trunk refused to bend in the storm, which led to it breaking. Being too rigid prevented it from adapting to the challenge. Here is another example. His rigid thinking made it impossible for him to consider new ideas. One more example. The rigid rules of the organization frustrated employees who wanted flexibility. Number 6. Adaptability. Let me spell it. A-D-A-P-T-A-B-I-L-I-T-Y. Adaptability. Adaptability means the quality of being able to adjust to new conditions or change to fit new circumstances. When you have adaptability, you can modify your behavior or approach when situations change. The bamboo's adaptability allowed it to survive the storm by bending and swaying with the wind instead of fighting against it. Here is another example. In today's fast-changing world, adaptability is one of the most valuable skills. One more example. The company's adaptability helped it survive during difficult economic times. Excellent work! You have learned 6 important vocabulary words today. These words will help you express complex ideas about strength, flexibility, and wisdom. The words we reviewed are contempt, resilience, ominous, relentless, rigid, and adaptability. Try to use these words in your own sentences this week. The more you practice, the more natural they will become. Thank you for learning English with us today. Remember the lesson of the bamboo and the oak. True strength is not just about being firm and unbending. Sometimes real power comes from flexibility, from knowing when to bend so that you do not break. Life will bring storms to all of us. The question is not whether we are strong enough to resist them, but whether we are wise enough to adapt to them. See you in the next story.